In this segment, I'd like to highlight the green triangle, which represents skillful practice. And there are three components of this domain. There is the idea of content. And content's going to shift depending on our role. For a classroom teacher, content is specific knowledge about the curriculum that I'm teaching or the multiple curricula that I'm teaching. But for leader, content takes on different domains. It can be, for example, knowledge about how to manage conflict, the whole knowledge base about difficult conversations. There's a knowledge base about adult development that I would need to know as a leader if I were a principal, because I'm working with, obviously, adults to try to improve their practice. The second part of practice is this notion of strategies and pedagogy. Each of us needs to be thinking of our toolkit and constantly expanding our repertoires so that we have a much larger toolbox to pick from, because the complexity of the work requires constantly seeing how we're going to adapt our strategies to the learners in front of us. Our school might have gone through a demography change, and now we have students in our population where English is not their first language. That may be a new change. And if I don't have a tool in my toolkit to work with those learners, then I'm going to be at a loss. Similarly with a principal, I might have had a faculty of very veteran teachers, and all of a sudden there's been a tremendous turnover, and now I have new teachers, much younger teachers in some cases, who don't have the same experiences dealing with challenging parents. We need to expand our repertoires. And this notion of teaming, I just want to say that in the old days, education was a solo act. Teachers sort of went into their rooms and they, for the most part, closed their doors and were individuals achieving their work with students. And principals had this idea of, it's my job to carry my school over my shoulder by myself. I am a leader and I'm competent because I can do it by myself. Those days are over. The complexity of our work, the amount of ideas and skills and knowledge we need to have requires all of us to be collaborators. If I'm a classroom teacher, I'm working closely with the school psychologist, the guidance counselors, the special educators, the school nurse. If I'm a principal, I'm working with my colleague principals, I'm working with my department heads, I'm working with my assistant principal. If I'm a superintendent, I'm working with all the associates in central office, all my principals, etc. And each of those groups, teams, require a set of skills on how to collaborate, how to share my opinions in a way that is not pushing other ideas out. How do I listen? How do I disagree? How do I keep up the relationships in the group and still achieve authenticity in terms of my opinion? There's a set of collaborative skills that are now needed, how to manage conflict, that in the old days simply weren't as pressing. And so all of us need to strengthen our teaming skills and our collaboration skills, and all of these ideas, whether it's deepening our content knowledge, expanding our toolkits, or sharpening our abilities to work with others, requires constant practice. We need to be virtuosos of our field, and that's going to require constant practice. We simply can't, say, well, we practiced in the early parts of our lives and now we're experts, we don't need to practice anymore. No field really that requires the professionalism that we are trying to achieve would ever suggest that experts in their field need to stop practicing.